Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get ready for our 14th race of the season in the SRA Pedrigree Xfinity Series. It is chase race number 4, elimination race number 2, the second race of the second round of the playoffs. This is going to set us up for who are going to be the 4 drivers that move on to battle for the Pedrigree Xfinity Series Championship next week at the championship weekend of Homestead Miami Speedway. At this point in time, we have 7 drivers that will be battling for 4 spots. None of them are locked into the final 4, as we did not have a playoff contender win last week's race at Nazareth Speedway. Front row comprised of our previous 2 winners from the last 3 weeks. Patrick Zych, who won back-to-back races last week at Nazareth, the week before at Chicagoland, lines up on the pole looking for 3 wins in a row. And alongside of him, the driver that went to victory lane before Patrick Zych did in the first playoff race at Chatham makes up the outside of the front row. So, definitely those 2 drivers in particular are on hot streaks, and I don't know if anybody's going to be able to stop them. But this here is Under Armour Speedway, which is a super speedway in its characteristics, so not all about where you start, it's where you finish. And that's going to make things very interesting as far as who's battling for those final 4 positions, because right now, coming into this race, Trent Dunham was the only driver to leave Nazareth with a top 10 finish. Matter of fact, he was the only driver to finish in the top 15 out of all the remaining 7 playoff contenders. He has an 11-point advantage between himself and second in the standings. He also has a 17-point advantage back to 4th in the standings, which right now is being held by Ryan Madden. But it is really close as far as 2nd back through 6th in the standings of who is where in terms of mathematical shots of getting into the final 4. You got Sean Galligan 2nd in the standings. He is only 6 points ahead of the cut line. Kyle Thomas, one of 2 two-time winners now, as Patrick Zych joined him last week. He is 3rd in the point standings, only 5 points ahead of the cut line, and Ryan Madden is the cut line driver, 4th in the standings. He's only got 1 point between himself and Kyle Langeland, who's 5th in points. There's only 6 points difference between Madden and Sky Commons, who is 6th in the standings, and Ashlyn Boyd comes into this one again for the 2nd time this season into an elimination race, currently in an elimination spot. Boyd is 7th overall of the 7 playoff contenders, but he's only a total of 14 points behind that cut line, and definitely if he won, he would move into the next round, the final 4 as well. And it's a super speedway, anything can happen. Rex, the big one, could come into play, pit strategy could come into play, and of course, as we always know at these super speedways in the final laps, positioning will come into play as well, because where you are at the drop of the white flag could very well determine where you're going to be at when the checker flag waves. It may be over your hood, or it may be over your competitor's hood in a photo finish. Let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports as we get ready to roll here at Under Armour Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
As the command is given, you're going to get a very nice shot of the field rolling across the start-finish line here as the Chevy Camaro pace car will lead them for their 1 pace lap. Highest playoff contender, you saw him right there, Ryan Madden, the driver that comes in that cut line position, 4th in the standings, rolling off from 5th, and not too far behind him, I think in 7th, is Trent Dunham, the driver that comes into this race with the best cushion out of the remaining 7 playoff contenders. Saw a couple drivers of our playoff contenders starting towards the rear of the field as well, including the 39 of Sean Galligan. We'll see how quickly he can work his way up to the front. And actually, no, it was not Trent Dunham rolling off 7th. It's actually Kyle Thomas. I got the wrong JD Motorsports car. Thomas in the 0 is going to be rolling off from the inside of row 4. I see Ashlyn Boyd back there rolling off from 11th. Kyle Langeland from 14th. And we'll be talking about those drivers a lot during the course of this race. 45 laps of racing here this evening as the pace car makes the left-hand turn down to pit road. These drivers will be hitting pit road in the entrance of turn 3 if they do have to pit in this race. Make their way around through turn 4 and then be coming back onto the racetrack in turn 2's exit. So if we have some drivers pitting and some drivers merging, that could be an issue, especially under green flag conditions. Patrick Zych Back-to-back races, he has gone to victory lane, looking for 3 in a row. Ciculli looking for his second win in 4 races. Our 2 previous winners will lead us down here and get us underway. Who's going to make the Final 4 in the playoffs? Let's roll at Under Armour Speedway. Of course, as well, at a super speedway type racetrack, getting up there to the front can be pretty easy. Get yourself a bonus point for a lap led. That might be on the mind of drivers starting on the inside line like Ryan Madden, like Kyle Thomas. We'll see how strong they are to force the issue and trying to get up to the race lead. Patrick Zych moves up top, blocks S Ozkan's advance. Now S Ozkan has to yield to the bottom. Ryan Madden will move to second. Now all over the back bumper of Patrick Zych, who's going to lead the first lap. Will Madden make a move? Here he comes to the bottom. Drag race to the line. Half a car length. Patrick Zych leads that lap, but Madden on the inside going into turn 1. Here comes Roush Fenway Racing teammates. Ashland Boyd trying to make the playoffs. J Shelly, his teammate, might try and help push him there. He's going to help push him to second place. Now it's going to be Madden versus Boyd. No, Boyd now has to move to the outside. That gives J Shelly the inside line for second place. Ryan Madden, who had the most pressure coming into this one, in that 4th position in the standings. He'll get himself an insurance bonus point as he will lead this lap. And if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to look back, but I'm pretty certain that heading into the elimination race at Chicagoland, Ryan Madden went into that race in the 7th position in points, which at the time was the coveted position. So boy, has this team had a lot of pressure on them. Should also mention too, this is the 2nd super speedway that we've been to this season. The only other time we were at a super speedway type track was Dragonette, the season opener. Guess who went to victory lane there? The 11, Ryan Madden. Arthur Xavier will go to the race lead now with help from Phil Parker. That's another thing about these super speedway type races. The drivers struggling in points, the underdogs, it always seems to be them that are up at the front late. Arthur Xavier would certainly fit that bill. 37th in the points. 1 top 10, 1 top 5 here this season. Average finish of around 24th place. So he would certainly fit the bill of an underdog going to victory lane. Is now Phil Parker to the inside. Toyota, Ford, Chevrolet, your top 3 at the front. Then another Camry and Skylar Perry. Then the Chevrolet Diego Yepez. The Chevy Jacob Thibodeaux is now Arthur Xavier. No friends on that outside line. Here comes Skylar Perry with some help. He's got Diego Yepez with him. They're going to get second place away from Ryan Madden. Side by side for the lead. No contest as the 22 and the 11 have no friends on the outside line with them. Skylar Perry goes to the race lead. Sky Commons, 6th in the points coming into this one. A total of 6 points behind the cut line. He's now working his way up to the front in that Liberty University Chevrolet. There he is. He was 19th in the elimination race at Chicagoland. We'll see if he can squeak into the Final 4 here today at Under Armour, as he is right now the 2nd highest running playoff driver to Ryan Madden. He's about to pass Madden for position, so now he is the highest running of the playoff contenders. Way up top side, that's K Shearer, last week's runner-up from Nazareth. He's got no friends in the outside line. He's going to fade to the back. Daniel Voyles had a great top 10 run last week. He's now trying to take 5th place away from Diego Yepez. As up front, it's Skylar Perry, Jacob Thibodeaux, Jimmy Dawson, all drivers who are still looking for their first checkered flag of the season. As a matter of fact, you got to go all the way back to Phil Parker, who is in 9th place before you get to a former race winner. Voyles, Yepez, Keith, Commons, Poteet, all running 4th through 8th, are yet to go to victory lane this season as well. Sky Commons ducking down to the bottom there on teammate Kyle Keith. That's for 6th. He'll take that spot as the top 5 single file. Perry, Thibodeaux, Dawson, Voyles, and Yepez. Yepez now going to be the one to step out of line there. He'll go for 4th on Voyles. Dawson's going to go for 2nd on Thibodeaux. Try and get up there with fellow Toyota Camry driver Skylar Perry. We know for certain that this race, if it goes green to the end, they will have to pit. They had to pit at a track less than a mile in length last week at Nazareth, and I believe I just saw the caution flag was out. First yellow of the day here on lap number 8 And yes, we are under caution. So Skylar Perry will lead us under yellow. And at a super speedway, the first thing you wonder is, were any of our remaining 7 playoff contenders involved? Because if they were, with how close the points were coming into this race, that could spell the end of their chances of moving on to the Final Four. There's the skid marks off of turn 2. It's like 2 sets of skid marks. Maybe that's just one driver's skid marks. Whoever it is, they slid a long ways down the back straightaway, and everybody's coming to pit road here under yellow, which does not surprise me. If you had the choice between pitting under yellow where you could keep your track position still, or pitting under green where your crew or yourself could make a mistake, speed on pit road, get a penalty, you definitely know which one these drivers would take. The car at the very tail end of the field here is Kyle Thomas in the 0. Sean Galligan there as well. So was it one of those two that brought out this yellow flag? Both are playoff contenders. And talk about how these super speedways work. Patrick Zych started on the pole. Last time by, he crossed in 37th. Oh, we got trouble. Someone just got spun. Nathan Ormond just got spun by Nathan Stapleton. The Nathan and Nathan show on pit road. So was it Galligan? Was it Thomas that brought out the caution? Or was it somebody else? Let's go back and take a look at a replay. First caution of the evening here at Under Armour Speedway. And it was indeed the driver that comes into this one second in the playoff standings, Sean Galligan. They were 4 wide with S Ozkan, J Figadarello, Sean Galligan, and J Shelly. There's the contact between Figadarello and Galligan. Nicholas Romero also a little contact there as well. 39 is going to spin right in front of a number of drivers. Little contact there again from Figadarello. But you watch as this car goes into a slide, little side swipe there for Nathan Stapleton. Manages to keep it from going into the inside wall. Kept it straight somehow. Not really any damage either. Very minimal contact for Sean Galligan. Yes, he lost a lot of track position as a result of this, but his playoff hopes, at least at this point, are still alive. I don't think we've done any of these this season for the Pedrigree Xfinity Series. Why don't we take an onboard with the 39 of Galligan? Watch this. I'll bet this whole time that he is spinning, he is still driving the race car. Side swipe's not really going to cause a lot of damage to that race car. They'll probably have to try and clear the left front tire, but that could have been a lot worse for Sean Galligan. He dodged a bullet here, but it did bring out our first caution of the evening. And we've had an incident on pit road, which we need to document as well, because it involves a playoff contender in Sky Commons. Watch here as they finish up the service on his Camaro. Coming into pit lane to his stall is Matthew Logan. Nowhere for him to go as one was exiting, one was entering. And right here you're going to see that the 9 car is going to get stuck behind the 21. He had to teleport to his stall. That's going to have him pinned probably at least 1 lap down. That is not good for Sky Commons, who came into this race outside of the cut line. A total of 6 points behind the cut line. This could have taken him out of the championship battle now. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is the 2nd straight week that Matthew Logan's been involved in a pit road incident. He got into it with S Ozkan last week at Nazareth, and now makes contact with Sky Commons this week, but obviously the one that's really going to hurt is Sky Commons. He's also got roof damage now as well. That could be his championship hopes done for the season. Lights are out top the pace car. Varying strategies on pit road is going to get Jacob Thibodeaux the race lead. He'll be the leader over Skylar Perry. Diego Yepez in 3rd. Anthony Lopez 4th. Jimmy Dawson 5th. Jonathan Zorlins in 6th, Andrew Miller 7th, Quentin Moore 8th, 9th Zach Winkle 10th, Dylan Poteet. Top 10 non-playoff drivers. Let's see where the playoff drivers are going to be restarting. Looks like Ashlyn Boyd will be 11th. That'll be the highest of the playoff contenders for this restart. Kyle Langeland back in 18th. Ryan Madden in 25th. And Kyle Thomas 35th, Sean Galligan in 38th, as Sky Commons has taken his car behind the wall. His playoff hopes are done. 1 lap down, the 21 of Matthew Logan. I don't know if he's going to restart on the inside line here or not. He might still be trying to catch up to the field. So right now, things are looking pretty good for Ashland Boyd with where he's running. But a lot can still change as we are not even yet halfway through this race. Jacob Thibodeaux leads them down. Waiting for the flagman as they'll enter into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air on lap 13. Now these drivers all came to pit road at the conclusion of lap 8 going on to lap 9. I would assume that is not going to have them good to go the rest of the way. I would have to think they're going to have to pit at least one more time, whether it be under green or caution conditions. As Skylar Perry, who lost the lead on pit road, wants it back. He's got a Camry behind him in Jimmy Dawson. Andrew Miller right there as well in the 33 car. Quentin Moore in the 89. Ashland Boyd now cracks the top 10 in that 6th machine. Ashland Boyd came into this one a total of 14 points behind the cut line, so definitely has to be the best performing of the playoff drivers to get into a playoff position. And I don't think on that last restart when I went down looking for the playoff contenders, I don't think I documented where Trent Dunham restarted. Where was he? There he is. 24th is where he's currently running. Thought I missed one, and I'm pretty sure it was Trent. Andrew Miller to the race lead now. In the 33, Quentin Moore into 2nd, and here comes Ashland Boyd. Now at this point in time, only one playoff contender has led a lap. That was Ryan Madden. Ashland Boyd needing all the points he can get right now as he was 7th of the 7 playoff contenders. We know that he'll probably pass Sky Commons in the points, but he needs to pass at least 2 other drivers in order to get into the Final 4 at Homestead. And a bonus point for a lap led would certainly be a good way to start. Right now his focus is on Kyle Langeland. And then one of 4 drivers, either Dunham, Galligan, Thomas, or Madden. He is running ahead of Kyle Langeland right now. The 2 of them were separated by 13 points. Boyd right now is in 2nd. He'd need Langeland to be running outside the top 15. Langeland right now is in 13th, and he's working his way to the front. So that is bad news for Ashland Boyd's chances of making it into the Final 4. There you see the 25. Drafting help from James McCloud as he is in 13th. And now about to crack the top 10, it looks like. Ashland Boyd, though, will get the bonus point for a lap led. Here comes Anthony McCrury trying to join Kyle Thomas and Patrick Zych as a 2-time winner. McCrury taking the checkers at Rio. Got eliminated from the playoffs last week at, 2 weeks ago at Chicagoland after dismal runs at both Chatham and Chicagoland. But just trying to finish out the season as best he can. Emmanuel Hartnett right there as well in the 18 car. Emmanuel now going for 2nd place, and he's bringing Kyle Langeland along with him. There's Trent Dunham in the 0-1. He's 5th on that inside line behind Phil Parker ahead of Samet Ozkan. And what about Sean Galligan? Saw him have that solo car spin down the back straightaway. Kept it clean. Let's see if that car is up to speed. Answer to that question is yes. He's not up towards the front, but he is up still in the lead pack. There he is. 36th place was the last time that he was scored. Not too far ahead of him, you find Ryan Madden in the 11. Back on that inside line, working his way to the front. And obviously, not the dominance that we saw out of Patrick Zych last week at Nazareth when he picked up his 2nd straight victory. He's mired back here, last time by 34th. I think he's now back around 36th, and he's side by side with Kyle Thomas. I'd be a little bit worried if I were that 0 car right now. Well, let's not say worried. It's a super speedway. He can work his way to the front here. But right now, this is not where he wants to be running. This is certainly not where he wants to finish either. Charles Jackson there in the 44. We've seen him actually have some good runs the last couple of weeks. But not looking good here. Finished top 5 at Chicagoland. Ran well last week at Nazareth. Spent a good portion of that race up in the top 10. And there is Matthew Logan, who is a lap down. He is off the pace. And the reason I'm looking at him is I'm wondering, is he far enough off the pace that he could get reeled in at some point by the race leaders who are all up in a pack? I mean, McCurry's last lap was a 35.4. Logan's was 3 seconds slower, 38.4. So you got to think at some point he's going to get reeled in. Andrew Miller back to the race lead. Trent Dunham wants a bonus point for a lap led. He'll dive to the inside, blocking Corey Williams. If Trent can lead a lap, he'll be the third playoff driver to get a bonus point for a lap led here this evening. Looks like he's going to get it as Corey Williams going to get up right behind Trent Dunham. James Shelly on the bottom with S Ozkan. Whoa, that was close. Corey tried to come down in front of Shelly, and Shelly wasn't going to lift, and we nearly had a wreck right there at the front of the field. Trent Dunham, he'll get that bonus point, though. He'll lead a lap. Had a 17-point gap between himself and fourth in the standings coming to this one. The only driver in the playoffs to finish top 10 last week at Nazareth, so had a nice cushion. And building off that, as it's looking like he is, at least right now, going to be moving on to the championship battle next week at Homestead, Miami. Here comes S Ozkan, 2 second-place finishes this season. He wants a win. Jacob Thibodeaux right there as well in the 52. And I don't know if I'm hearing the engines of the cars back there in the middle of the pack, rear of the field, or if I'm hearing that 21 car up ahead. Joshua Ciculli started outside of the front row. Winner 3 weeks ago at Chatham, dominated that road course race, and now he's up here in the top 3 looking for the race lead on S Ozkan. Ryan Madden, we saw him back near the rear of the field. He got to the inside line. He's back up inside the top 10. At this point in time, it's near impossible to say who is in, who is out. As far as your Final Four, it's easier to say who will probably not make it into the Final Four, and the easy answer to that is Sky Commons, who is the only car currently out of the race, DNF'd in 40th place. But, I mean, Trent looks like he's in good shape, but I don't know about Galligan, Thomas, Madden, Langeland, even Ashland Boyd still could have a shot. It's a super speedway. We really cannot speculate until we get to the checkered flag because so much can change in the span of a lap. And right there, you see that outside line's going to get held up behind Matthew Logan. He's holding up his teammate there, Joshua Ciculli in the 62. Not sure Ciculli's going to be very happy about that. More importantly, that holds up Trent Dunham on that outside line. Ashland Boyd's going to pick up some spots because of that, as will Ryan Madden. Jonathan Zorlin, who finished third last week at Nashville, now up here in the top 5 as Jimmy Dawson leads the way. Nathan Stapleton in second. Kyle Keith moved to third. Now he's under fire from Ryan Madden for that spot. James McCloud in the 23, also up inside the top 10 there, behind Ashland Boyd. And Ryan Madden wants to get back to the front. He's already led a lap, so he's got that bonus point. But now he just wants to get up there in clean air, away from the possibility of getting caught up in a wreck. Safest place at a super speedway usually is out in front. If you're in the middle of the pack, you're in the hornet's nest. Some other names popping up here at the front that we should document. How about Kyle Thomas? Saw him back around 38th, 39th. He's now up in the top 10. Dylan Poteet making his way up here into the lead group. And how about Patrick Zych? Looking for 3 wins in a row. There he is. Going to cross the line. Lincoln around the... Yeah, he is 10th place. I thought he might be around 11th because they had the 46 scored in 10th, but actually the 48 did cross the line ahead of the 46. Sean Galligan has also worked his way back up here into the lead group. And the 21 has split the field up, so we might be able to now start to speculate on some drivers if they lose the draft that could be in danger of falling out of the Final Four. Trent Dunham's back here in 22nd, but the driver I'd be worried about, I think I saw him back here. Where is he? Yeah, right there, the 25 of Kyle Langeland. Just now getting around Matthew Logan. That dropped him all the way back to 36th. And now he's in 31st. So he's right now in the 31st position, and he came into this race outside the cut line by 1 point to Ryan Madden, who is up right now in the 3rd position. Pit stops, here we go. Pit road's going to be busy, as I guess the window opened for these drivers to be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel. So this is the money stop, as they call it. Looks like some drivers had already pitted. Shelly, Patrick Zych, Eli Bright, K Shearer coming off of pit lane. Kyle Thomas was also on pit road a lap earlier. Race lead got turned over to Ashland Boyd. And now Boyd's headed for pit lane, as is just about everybody else that's on the lead lap. Z Winkle, holy cow. Picked up about 2-3 spots right there. Came flying down pit road. Let's see what the strategy call is here. Is it 4 tires and fuel? Is it fuel only? Is it right sides only? We'll see what the 6 of Ashland Boyd does. They're going to go around to the rights at least. I would think to get the car completely full of fuel, they're going to have to go with 2 cans, so why not go with the 4 tires? And that's exactly what's going to happen. 4 tires stop for Ashland Boyd. And now we'll see where Ashland's going to come out in relation to the group that came to pit road the lap before he did. Hartnett, Zorlin, Voyles all coming off pit road. Dunham, Figadarello, Keith. There's the second group, led by Jimmy Dawson, James McCloud, and Kyle Thomas. Oh, goodness! McCloud just ran to the back of Zorlin! Right in front of the field! This is going to be a big one! Oh, there they are, wrecking into each other. Trent Dunham's involved. One car up and over. That's Z Winkle. Caution will wave. Right in the middle of pit stops, but I think everyone had pitted, so I don't think we're going to have anybody trapped a lap down. Figadarello's got a lot of damage. Trent Dunham's got a lot of damage. Anthony Lopez took the shot into James McCloud. And now the question is, was 17 points enough for Trent? Even there, it looks like he's making a pass on Phil Parker. I wonder if Phil got involved in the wreck, because that car seems somewhat off the pace. There's J.D. Figadarello. Chase Marks has got damage. And a car that just barely squeaked through that was Sean Galligan, as well as Kyle Thomas. And Jonathan Zorlin. He was the one that got run into the back of as he was merging back onto the track. James McCloud completely ran him over. And that's what I said. I wondered if with green flag pit stops, having drivers have to come to pit road in turn 2, or in turn 3 rather, and exit out of turn 2, if that was going to be an issue. And obviously the answer to that question was yes. Well, Chase Marks is not coming to pit road to repair that rear end damage. Maybe that damage might have happened on pit road. Who knows? Ashland Boyd's going to be the race leader, though. Not many drivers have been able to stick out in front, so if Ashland Boyd is able to lead a few laps here under caution, maybe, just maybe, leading under these caution laps, might have Ashland Boyd get the second bonus point for leading the most laps here today. We'll have to wait and see, though. We'll be getting a restart, maybe just around 10 laps to go, maybe a little sooner. But for now, let's go back and see what happened to bring out the yellow flag for the second time here today at Under Armour Speedway. Well, McCloud, I don't think, was focused on the 0-0. Right here, he's making a move for the lead on Jimmy Dawson. And I think he thought the 0-0 was going to stay down lower more than that, and he just didn't. Boy, that's a close call for Kyle Thomas. Sean Galligan swings around the outside. There's where Anthony Lopez had nowhere to go. Watch the 3 of Chase Marks behind him here. Does he get run into the back of? Oh, it was Trent that got into the back of him. Then Z Winkle runs the back of his teammate Trent Dunham. There's J.D. Figadarello. Kyle Keith's going to be able to squeak through, I think, as Winkle is up and over, barrel rolling. And I think that's all the damage that was sustained by any drivers there, which, to be honest, is quite extraordinary, as you had a lot of drivers broken up into different groups. Well, if Trent's able to continue, it's going to be a close call for him. He might make it in on the skin of his teeth. 17 points he had between himself and fourth in the standings. Nice cushion after his run last week at Nazareth, but was it enough, as he is involved here in our second caution of the day? Well, if you guys remember, 2 weeks ago at Chicagoland, Trent Dunham had a damaged race car that was off the pace and somehow was able to pull off a miracle to finish that race. And not to finish that race, but to advance into the next round of the playoffs. He's still running. He's 33rd. That car is damaged. That car is probably off the pace. Can he pull out another miracle to advance to the Final Four? That 17-point cushion he had will help him, but will it help him enough? Out of the race after what we just saw, the cars of J Figadarello, J McCloud, Anthony Lopez, and Z Winkle. That leaves us 35 cars still running, 34 of them on the lead lap. Matthew Logan, they're 2 laps down, will be on the bottom of the racetrack. Playoff contender, Ashland Boyd out in front. Emmanuel Hartnett second, Daniel Voyles, Jimmy Dawson, Jacob Thibodeaux, that's your top 5, with Shelly, Zych, Thomas, Galligan, and Romero, your top 10. 3 of your playoff contenders up here in the top 10. Where's the rest of them? Got to go down before you find the rest of those playoff contenders. Ryan Madden's in 26th, Kyle Langeland's in 30th, and Trent Dunham currently in 33rd. Green flag set to come back out here. And we will have 11 laps to go here at Under Armour. That 21 of Matthew Logan might be an issue for some of these drivers if they get trapped behind him. And have we seen our last yellow flag of the day as we get down into the closing stages of this race. Jimmy Dawson making a move down low. That's for third on Daniel Voyles, but he's got the slow car of Matthew Logan ahead of him. Can he move the 21 to the outside line? Yes, he will, as the top 2 have broken away. Hartnett behind Ashland Boyd. Ashland Boyd has a victory this season, went coast to coast, dominated at Road America. Hartnett's looking for his first win of the season. Very good at the super speedway tracks as well. 3 wide back there as they're all trying to get around the slower 21 car. Sean Galligan, second in points. He's now up to 6th, looking for 5th. Looking like he right now would be in good position to move into the Final Four. Kyle Thomas got stuck on the outside line there for a brief moment behind Matthew Logan, but he's still running in that 12th spot, looking like he could move on to the next round. So it then comes down between Ryan Madden, Kyle Langeland, and Trent Dunham, as well as the possibility of Ashland Boyd, who is out in front leading this race. Remember, if Ashland Boyd wins, that's an automatic ticket into the round of 4. That might be what Ashland Boyd's thinking about, too. Came into this one 14 points behind Ryan Madden. Did they approach this as a must-win situation race? Jacob Thibodeaux right on the back bumper. He's going to look to the inside. Ashland Boyd, will he move down to block? Can't do it. Thibodeaux is going to go to the race lead. Let's drop to the back real quick. Find out about the 0-1. Oh, he is off the pace, and he is off the pace big time. We know he's going to finish ahead of Sky Commons. He needs Ashland Boyd not to win this race. He also needs Kyle Thomas, Ryan Madden, Kyle Langeland, one of those guys, or 2 of those guys, to fall way back in the finishing results here at the end of this race, if he's going to be able to move in. 17 points sounds like a lot, but not when it's at a super speedway. Thibodeaux out in front. Kyle Keith to second. Here comes Phil Parker into third. And look who he's bringing with him. Patrick Zych looking for 3 wins in a row. There's Kyle Thomas moving up to the front. So that's bad news for Trent Dunham. What about Kyle Langeland and Ryan Madden? Are either of them struggling? There's Langeland. He's 26th. And Trent is 34th. So that's 8 positions. And Trent was 18 points over Langeland. Now what about Madden? He was 17 points over Madden. And there's Ryan. Currently, well, he was scored in 18th, but I think he's now back around 21st. Trent's got a shot, but if he gets in, I think he's going to get in by 1 or 2 points. It's going to be really close. Phil Parker now out in front. James Shelly on his back bumper. A couple of Ford Mustangs. It's been a while since Ford's been to victory lane. Chevy has won the last 3 races with Ciculli and Patrick Zych. And now Shelly gets forced out of line as, speaking of Chevy, here comes the Camaro of Jacob Thibodeaux. He'll move to second. 5 laps to go. Phil Parker, who won on fuel mileage at Memphis, trying to win his second race of the season here at Under Armour. Did not advance into the playoffs as he was outside the top 20 in points at regular season's end. But trying to finish out the season as best he can. We got a car down to the apron. Saved it. That was David Garcia and Daniel Voyles who made contact. They keep it straight, keep it together. Somehow we're still green. Great save by those two. But that checked up both Ryan Madden and Sean Galligan. And I would be very worried right now if I'm Kyle Langeland. He's back here in this second group, mired in the 27th position. Dylan Poteet's got damage. And I don't think that that's from an earlier wreck. I think that just recently happened. But we aren't under caution. So I don't know what happened to the 07, but it did not bring out a yellow. We're still green with about 3.5 laps to go. J Shelly to the point. Getting some help from Anthony McCrury. Ford's 1, 2, 3 at the front now. Then you got the Toyota of Nicholas Romero, the Chevy of Quentin Moore. As Shelly shows the way in that Lilly Diabetes Ford Mustang. Last couple of weeks have not been kind to him. He's down to 27th in the points, lost 6 spots in the standings last week at Nazareth. Anthony McCrury, we've documented the struggles he's had this season. Made it into the playoffs, but then after that, the performance just wasn't there. Got eliminated after the first round. And Nicholas Romero, dead last in points. Boy, would he fit the criteria of a driver that could fit the underdog status, winning here tonight. As Shelly continues to show the way. Woo, they are dancing back there. Arthur Xavier dancing around. I think that was either Thibodeaux. Yeah, it was Thibodeaux that I saw making some aggressive slicing and dicing back there as well. Shelly leads the way, and his teammate is not too far behind. Ashland Boyd in the 6. Here comes Zorland for the race lead as they'll see the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Under Armour. Zorland trying to get his first win of the season. He made it into the playoffs via points. Got eliminated in the first round. And what about that 6 car of Ashland Boyd? If Boyd wins, he's into the final 4. 4 wide further back. Ryan Madden, Eli Bright. They're going to save it, I think. They do! Wow! Tremendous save as up front, Jonathan Zorland blocking the inside, blocking the outside, looking for career win number 1. Slow carve, Trent Dunham in the way. He'll duck low, and he will win at Under Armour. Jonathan Zorland had a great run last week at Nazareth. He wins here. Oh, and someone's smoking crossing the line. He wins here at Under Armour. Caution's out. Was that Jimmy Dawson I saw that was wrecked? Oh, I think Eli Bright and Ryan Madden may have come up into traffic over in turn 3. And they collected the 14 of Jimmy Dawson. Didn't matter, though. We were racing back to the checkers anyway. But think about if Jonathan Zorland, who by 1 point missed out on making it into the round of 7, there's no doubt he would have been a contender for the championship in the Final 4 next week if he'd had the finishes he had last week and this week. It's amazing what 1 point in this playoff system can do. But Jonathan Zorland, he made it into the playoffs via points and gets his first career win here this evening at Under Armour. Well done to him. But when you think about what might have been, let's quickly go back and see what brought out that caution coming to the checkered flag, and then we'll show you your full finisher results. And the reason we're showing this is because this is an incident that has bearing on who would make it into the playoffs and who wouldn't. Ryan Madden, remember, came into this one in the cut line spot of 4th in the standings. Contact between himself and Eli Bright. Now, at this point, I thought they had it saved. That's why I went back up to the front. Right here, looked like they were going to come back up the racetrack, they were going to be given room, and we were going to be okay. But apparently that was not the case. Let's see what happened here going into turn 3. Ryan's going to ride the 88 up the track. And I don't know if he went up or if Eli Bright came down, but they make even more contact. Up the track they go. Nowhere for Jimmy Dawson in the 14 to be able to maneuver. All three go up and get the wall. And this caused Ryan Madden to cross the start-finish line towards the rear of the field, which means that's going to help Trent Dunham to be able to possibly leapfrog Ryan Madden and get his way into the playoffs. That also could have been a big break for Kyle Langeland in the 25 car. And we'll have to see where Ashland Boyd, with not winning where he's going to be, did he gain enough points to make it into the Final Four? That's what brought out the caution. They came back to the checkered flag, and Madden crosses in 29th. He had 17 points between himself and Trent Dunham, and I think Trent finished in 36th. So here we go. Let's find out what the finishing results look like. It's time to determine our Final Four. Standings are official. Jonathan Zorlin with the win. Ciculli second. Boyd finished third. So we're going to have to do a lot of calculator work here in just a moment. Phil Parker's going to finish in fifth place for James Shelly. How about the Mustangs? First, third, fourth, and fifth for the Blue Ovals. Jacob Thibodeaux in 6th, Skylar Perry 7th, David Garcia 8th, Patrick Zych in 9th, Anthony McCrury in 10th. The only playoff contender that finished in the top 10 was Ashland Boyd. You had Kyle Thomas in 12th. I think that's enough for Thomas to advance. We'll get to that in a moment. Sean Galligan in 16th. I think that's enough for him to advance. So I think we know 2 of them. Question is, who are the other 2? Kyle Langeland was 23rd. And then further on down, Ryan Madden crossed in 29th. Trent Dunham, you see right there, 1 lap down at the very end, finishing in 34th. And Sky Commons, we already have determined, was eliminated when he DNF'd in dead last. So, at this point in time, Kyle Thomas, I believe, is in. That 12th place run, I think, was good enough. Sean Galligan, 16th, I believe, was good enough because he managed to finish ahead of a number of drivers that were behind him in points like Madden and Langeland. So the question is Trent Dunham in, is Ryan Madden in, or is Ashland Boyd in? I think it's those 3 that are going to determine it. Langeland, maybe. We'll get to him in a minute, but I think his chances with him finishing as far down as he did might be a little bit more remote. He did manage to finish ahead of Ryan Madden, though, so hold on. Let's just double check with that, because he was 1 point behind Ryan Madden coming into this race. Madden finished down there. Actually, I think this knocks Madden out. So I think it's between Dunham, Langeland, and Commons. All right, so let's determine here between Trent and Langeland first. Trent came into this one 18 points over Kyle Langeland. Langeland finishing in 23rd, so Trent would have had to have finished in 41st or worse. Trent finishes in 34th. He already had a 31 points gap between himself and Ashland Boyd. No way that Boyd was going to be able to make that up. So Trent Dunham, I believe, despite finishing 34th 1 lap down, he is in. So we've got Thomas, we've got Galligan, we've got Dunham. Now I think it comes down between Langeland and Boyd, because Langeland finished ahead of Madden and had a pretty good gap between himself and Madden. Langeland 23rd, Madden 29th. I think Madden's out, so he joins Sky Commons as eliminated. Now it's between Boyd and Langeland. The 2 of them were separated by 13 points coming into this one. We already know that Ashland Boyd at least got 1 bonus point for leading a lap, so cut that now down to a 12-point advantage. Boyd finished in 13th. In order for Langeland to knock Ashland Boyd out, Langeland would have had to have finished in the 15th position or better, and he finished in 23rd. Bear in mind, Ashland Boyd might have also gotten the bonus point for most laps led. I'm not 100% certain about that, but even if we just count the 1 bonus point he got for a lap led, I believe Ashland Boyd, who for the 2nd straight time comes into an elimination race in an elimination spot, is going to advance to the next round. So if my calculations are correct, and remember, I said this back at Chicagoland, and I was wrong. I thought Zorlin was in and Boyd was out, but Boyd was in by 1 point and Zorlin was out. So do not quote me on this until you see the full finishing results. But if my calculations are correct, your final 4 to compete for the championship in the Pedrigree Xfinity Series next week at Homestead, Miami are going to be Trent Dunham, Sean Galligan, Kyle Thomas and Ashlyn Boyd. It's going to be one Ford against 3 Chevrolets, and there's a lot of veteran experience in those 4 as well. That is who I think are the final 4 that are competing for the championship next week. But again, like I said, do not quote me until you see the full finisher results. That will be the official word. I'm just doing the calculations in my head, and you've seen the track record. I've been wrong more than a few times. But thank you all so much for tuning in to today's race from Under Armour. What a great race to cap off what has been an exciting second round. It gives us our final 4 for next week at Homestead, Miami. If you guys enjoyed tonight's race, be sure guys to like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We've shown you your full finishing results. These are your point standings heading into next week. These are what the points would look like at the conclusion of this race. You will see the reformatted point standings heading into Homestead, Miami, as I'm pretty certain it's Dunham, Galligan, Thomas, and Boyd that are going to be settling it out. And all 4 of them, are going to be tied up. It's going to come down to best finishing result. You're also going to want to tune in next weekend as well, as we'll be determining the champion for the Duracell Cup Series as well. And that's going to be a wild one, too. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you guys for Championship Weekend at Homestead next week. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the NCRA Offline Racing at its best.